To you. Happy birthday, dear Timmy. Happy birthday to you. Timmy, it's your birthday. How are you feeling?
Feeling well, class.
Are you ready? Are you
I'm
excited?
ready. I'm ready.
Well, I'm blessed and privileged that we get to have this moment on your birthday. It's Timmy's birthday. So, Timmy, let's dive right into it, right? If I were to say to you, on reflection, over the past year, is your new birthday here today, what would you say is like top 3 lessons that you've learned, taken away for you in the last 12 months?
I guess firstly, before I share that, every year I've had this like really weird tradition involving birthday. If there's ever like a birthday cake, or I just imagine a birthday cake, I really ask myself just before blowing out the candles, is the only difference I see in my life in this moment, if I was to be honest, the number of candles on top of that cake. And to be honest, there have been years where if I'm bluntly honest, the only difference is I've just gotten older. And I've not moved on the projects. I've not moved on the vision. I've not moved on the goals. I've just been delayed. You know, I've just been distracted. But like, if I look back on the last 12 months, you know, my mind right now, my heart's saying it's been a freaking quantum leap. You know, it started, and I guess this relates to a life lesson. I think I could distill it into like a one key life lesson. It started from even back in, you know, November 2024. We ran for the first time ever the 4 back-to-back WCA retreats. Now, having grown up with traumas, experiencing racism and all of this, like I was terrified. Like even running WCA, because there's a 50-hour long retreat for one retreat. And me speaking for 50 hours when I could barely speak for 1 minute back in the past. But now imagine having 4 back-to-back. And so, you know, last year, there was a time where last year I hit a threshold and I was just like, I couldn't go on anymore, and I was breaking down, breaking through. But you know what? At the end of that, I quantum leaped because I honored my potential, because I made that decision. And what ended up happening afterwards, this is the wonders about life, right? We then ran January 2025 live LMA, and we freaking crashed the internet, as in Zoom meeting software couldn't fit any more students in. And you know what's crazy? Is there are enough LMA students now to fit like literally in a stadium, like a football stadium, right? Over 20,000 LMA students from over 106 countries. And it's mind-boggling. And it really reminded me, especially because that event was packed, right? The live LMA event start of the year. It's just like, I was just reminded why we got to honor our potential. I always like to say, take care of your potential, the rest will take care of itself. And it's so true. Because then what ended up happening in February? Craziness, right? Because another 4 WCA back-to-back retreats. But isn't it crazy how like, when you face what was once hard becomes easier. Now, I'm not here to say the 4 retreats was easy, but it was easier. And we had the most amount of success stories from that. Testimonials was crazy. Everyone was healing, breaking through of generational curses. And I think that was because we really began to up the things. And then I guess after that, I came back from WCA and I decided to imagine, you know that I've lived most of my life in England. Decided to pack my bags and decide to say bye-bye to UK. And I made a very crazy, courageous decision to move to a new country. And it was in that moment I realized, because now we're in this new country right now in this studio, it made me realize it's hard to heal in an environment that made you ill. And it's hard to really expand in an environment that's always reminds you to play it smaller, you know? And just before I share with you the key lesson I've learned from this, I guess after that, you know, during the Thailand trip as well, and during this moment we're having together, there was something that was seeded in our mind, which was involving this secret project.
That's right.
And I guess like, I would have never thought about this secret project, because this secret project is involving like all of us, right? You're going to find this project so crazy, but I wouldn't have fathomed it. I wouldn't be making decisions right now that's going towards this direction, you know, with yourself and the team and everyone and the community, had I not evolved myself starting from like, you know, early last year. And it's almost like when the student's ready, teacher appears, teacher of life. When we've evolved ourselves, it's like the guy who climbed Mount Everest, one of the first ones. When he came down, the reporter was like, you know, what was it like to see top of the world? He said, it's amazing, but I saw this mountain that was out of sight before. So when we elevate ourselves, our thinking, we see things that was previously not possible, right? Anyhow, the last thing I just want to say before I share the lesson, the most important, I would say the best part of this is my mum, who, you know, I retired several years ago. She I sent her abroad for 1 month in South Korea to enjoy her life with friends and so forth. And then she came back, she jumped on the phone with me and she said, this is someone who's neglected herself all her life. And this is why I've struggled with this pattern as well of self-investment, looking after me. And she said, Tim, first time ever, she said, I decided to splurge on myself. And actually, instead of saving all the monies, she was actually like going on these like experiences for herself, enjoying her life. And it was amazing because that's a quantum leap. And she's never done that. Wow. She's always saved every penny I've ever given her. Whatever it is, she's just saving it. Wow. And it was amazing because she had the biggest grin on her face. And I could see now she's alive. And I think that was like, that was the cream on top of this world-class cake, let's say.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
But yeah, going back to your question.
Yeah.
So in terms of like the big life lesson, I say, the biggest life lesson of all has been about how waiting really is a lie. You know, all throughout our life, if you think about it, we've been told like good things happen to those who wait. And I guess if I was in the queue in Starbucks, perhaps, I should wait. Maybe a coffee will arrive. Yep. But life doesn't work on those principles. You know, life doesn't wait until you're ready. You know, life doesn't come knocking saying, thank you for waiting. Now you're ready for this big life. No, you know, if we want to quantum leap, if we want to actually go for these goals, I've realized in the last 12 months, having achieved some things and, you know, looking ahead, we're going to achieve bigger. We got to actually grab it with both hands and we're going to demand it. We're going to take action in that direction starting today. So every time we delay, that really is the greatest enemy of success. Because you and I know when we're in a place of momentum, there are new ideas, there's new inspiration. Sometimes we don't take action. That's why we say never leave a place of momentum without some form of action. When your heart's screaming out for a change, when your heart's saying, yeah, let's go. That's what I realized has really changed my life as I look back on not just last year, but a couple other years. So I would say the biggest lesson is like waiting really is a lie. Anytime the mind says no, we got to really say, let's go. And, you know, I've played both games now where I've delayed, I waited around. I've also played, you know, in the last 12 months, a game where I'm just taking action, moving towards that direction, you know, seeing opportunities, taking action, grabbing it, making that decision. And I'm looking back saying, you know what, not all of it went as planned, but it's making the one heck of a story. And it's not like at the end of my life, I want less stories. I want to make it a freaking theoretical Hollywood story sharing with the grandchildren moment.
Let's go. Love it.
So that's what I would say.
Brilliant. And so for this year moving forward now, it's your birthday, a new year, new start, like basically a fresh reset button for another new year of possibilities. What's the intention for this year? What can we expect to see from Mr. Tim Han this year? What are we going to see? Fill me in. Let's go.
Well, like, as we was in the car earlier on, getting to this place, I was saying to you, my one word intention really is bold. And as I was explaining more about what that was to you, I was beginning to realize, wait, it's not bold actually, because the outcome of me being bold is I then said to you, capacity. And I feel like, you know, I've got big dreams. And I feel like there are some years where I do feel like I've been playing from ability where, don't get me wrong, it's created amazing results. But there's still a part of me that's saying, no, there's more in the tank. There's more in that. There's more in this. And so I feel like the next 12 months, I want to look back on this moment saying, that was capacity, right? As in, I've emptied that tank. And I think as long as I do that, regardless of what the outcome is, I'm going to feel happy because I've honored my potential. And every time we progress in that way, we're happy. As I said to you, you found it very funny, but I kept on saying to you, I think last year, you know, it's not the pursuit of happiness. Happiness is the pursuit. And I think I want to be in the pursuit of this capacity. And so a year from now, if we're in another podcast studio,
who knows where we'll be
saying capacity.
And
we'll be talking about the secret project by then, right? It will be
Absolutely.
very solidified. In fact, it would already be, you already be part of it. You already be part of it. Watch your space.
Facts.
And I look forward to the next 12 months.
Let's go. Well, listen, from all of us here, we want to say happy birthday to you. We thank you. We're grateful for you. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be here. We're grateful for you on your birthday. I'm excited. We're excited to see the boldness and the capacity with what's yet to come.
Let's go.
Let's make it a great one, shall we?